Welcome to Life on the Moose. Welcome back if you've been here before. Yes, I am up, and I know, another new video. So let's just address the elephant in the room, which is me. I think I've gained about 12 pounds in the last week. I haven't been moving around much. I've been following your advice. Thank you so much. Speaking of advice, thank you so much for your awesome comments. It is humbling. It's such a wonderful group of subscribers. I never anticipated anything like this when I started this channel, but it's awesome. Yes, I still have the stitches. It has been 7 days since the incident happened, and I'm supposed to, in about 7 days from now, get those stitches out. So we'll see. So far, so good. I had a 2-day checkup when I back at the ER, and the doctor looked at it and said everything looked fairly good. So I can't complain at this point. Even though I'm walking around in tennis shoes, I'm not really putting 100% of my weight on it. Well, I guess I am, but I'm not moving it as normal. As I mentioned in the last episode, bending my toes up, it's that muscle that got cut, and it's that muscle that, well, it feels like you tore a muscle. So that's what it feels like at this point, more than it does a cut. So even though I'm on my feet, I am moving slowly, I'm moving deliberately. Don't be concerned, I'm not gonna overdo it. So what are we gonna do today? Well, we're gonna do a few things today. One thing I wanna do is have you say hi to Karen. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
We're gonna tackle a couple small things today that won't require a lot of lifting and a lot of me moving around. That's what Karen is here for. She's gonna be my legs and my carrying things from point A to B. That's going to be really important. Getting something done. There is stuff we can do besides lift up walls and the heavy stuff. And one of those things is blocking. If you remember an episode or two ago when I did a shear wall over there, I talked about the fact that all of these are a shear wall to one extent or the other. So most of the walls, even though they're only shear wall 1, still have certain requirements. And one of the requirements of any shear wall in this house is blocking, and that is the horizontal blocking between layers of sheathing. Yeah, you just can't have those layers between studs hanging loose. You can't put a clip on them like you might be able to on the roof. The engineer wants them blocked completely on these shear walls.
I said the doctor thought that your leg looked really good when we were at the ER.
I don't know if you heard that or not, but Karen just reminded me that the doctor actually said that the wound looked very good and not just pretty good. So that's a good thing. Another thing that I wanted to do at some point that we might as well do today is mark the studs, where the location of the studs are on the floor. I know we might be a little bit early in the process, but these studs aren't going to go anywhere from this point forward. So I'm going to mark them now while we have nothing else to do. So Karen is definitely going to help me do that. We're just going to put some spray paint on the floor. I think down the road that's going to come in handy. And then we're going to wrap up this episode with some questions and answers. Well, kind of. It's not going to be a live Q&A, of course, but it's going to be more like a frequently asked questions that stemmed from the comments. So you gave me a lot of good ideas on what to do for video material when I'm not exactly 100% physically. And one of them was a Q&A session. Well, we're not quite equipped to do it live. So Karen and I are going to do this more like a FAQ sort of thing. But this isn't going to be any ordinary FAQ. This is going to be an FAQ that is done from different areas on the ranch. So every question and answer, you get to have a different viewpoint. Speaking of viewpoints, yeah, there's still smoke around here. I think I mentioned at the end of the last video that we have some rain. We received some rain, just a little bit, but it was enough to clear off a lot of this smoke and maybe even put out some fires, but the entire area is much better than it was. Karen is my camera person. Come on, Karen. All right, well, let's start right here and work our way around counterclockwise. So obviously, if you're 16 inches on center between two studs, by the time you take up the room of the stud itself, it should be 14.5 inches. Well, if you cut them all at 14.5 inches, you're gonna have a nightmare on your hand because you're never gonna be able to get everything to squeeze in perfectly because wood is not perfect. I highly recommend cutting them short. Some people say 1/8 of an inch short. Some people say 1/16 of an inch short. I'm gonna aim for between the two somewhere, because inevitably they aren't all going to fit perfect. The ones that I know are not exactly still on the 16-inch center, like here around windows, these little gaps, stuff like that, I'm going to measure that distance, that opening space at the bottom sill plate. I don't want to just take my tape measure and measure up here, because those studs might not be perfectly straight up and down, but if they're on layout down here, that's where that number should be. That's how big that gap should be. So that's what we're going to aim for. I'm going to start taking measurements, and I'm going to yell them out loud at you, Karen, when you're done being photographer woman or video woman, and then you want to write these down, and then we'll kind of cut them all at once and do this in a group, I guess. So the sheathing that I'm going to use is 4 feet wide, and it has to be oriented horizontally. I know some people will tell you that it can't be, or that it should be. Some people will tell you that it can go any direction, it doesn't matter as long as you have blocking. I'm just doing what the engineer says, and I'll be happy that way. So we have to orient it sideways. So the bottom of this plywood, or in our case, I'm not sure 100% what I'm going to use for sheathing, but the bottom of it is going to be even with the bottom of the mud sill, of that bottom sill plate. Speaking of mud sill in this area down here, several of you had asked questions about what we're going to do here. How come I didn't seal this up with like a liquid flashing or caulk it, seal it, that sort of thing? We're going to get to that in the FAQ section of this video, so stay tuned. So from this point, I'm just going to measure up 4 feet and make a line, and that's where the blocking is going to have to go. So I'm just going to do this basically on the sides of each section of wall so we can snap a line. Oh, while we're here, notice we cut the bottom plate out. One reason was because we got a little rain and we had to do a little squeegeeing. So it's just an easy way. We're not going to need that anyway. We have to cut it out eventually. So why not do it now and make life easy when it rains? We're actually going to place our blocking the flat way and not on edge like these studs are. I double checked, and that's okay for horizontal blocking. It all feels good for those of you wondering. I'm literally in no pain right now, so. And if I was, I wouldn't be doing this. Let's make this 10 and a 16th.
10 and a 16th.
7.
7.
Let's make that 2 3/4.
2 3/4.
14 5/8. No, sorry. I can't read today. 14 3/4. Goodness.
3/4.
This is what happens when you take a week off.
Okay.
You know what?
What?
There's a window here.
Oh.
All right. Take the last 3 away. The next one for me is 6 and 15. 13 and let's go 9/16. 5 and 15/16. The next one for you is 14 and 3/8. And 2 1/8.
2 1/8.
That is a good question. I wonder what the engineer or inspector would say about not having blocking in this little of an area. I can't imagine it being an issue, but yeah, let's worry about those two later. I can just probably put a board in there and be good. This one should be at our 14 1/2 now for a while, so let's make that at 14 7/16 times 2, 3, 4. Okay, the next one is 14 1/4, 2 inches, 13 5/8, 2 inches, 2 3/4, 7 3/16, 13 5/8, 9 7/8, 14 1/4, 14 3/8, 11 5/8. Okay, let's mark these. I would say you hold this one. And I'm going to be pretty precise with this line just in case we have to use it for the actual sheathing. Okay. This one we'll just eyeball.
Okay.
Okay, let's cut some blocking. Instead of using a circular saw, I'm going to use the chop saw, the compound miter saw. Karen and I are going to find a way to muscle it over there. I think we'll probably put it on the side by side right here and get it as close as we can. I think it'll be a lot quicker that way. Okay, we're all set up. We're going to take our boards and we're going to orient them in the flat position like this. They also don't have to be a 2x6. They could be 2x4s. It's just that we have so many scraps. Speaking of scraps, Karen is loading up the side-by-side right now with stuff that we're not going to use just to clean up this area. We don't want to trip on it or anything like that. We wouldn't want to create a hazard. Anything less than about 8 inches, we're just going to burn someday, some winter. But we'll have plenty of crooked wood, twisted wood. We'll go through this pile over here. That's perfect for blocking. A 10-foot board that's wonky all over the place. By the time you cut it down into 14.5-inch sections, it'll be good to go. All right, I think they're right here. We have some really nasty boards. Yeah, that's nasty enough for me. Let's take that one and just set it on top of this one for now. And I think this might...
Oh yeah, that is really...
Yeah, that's pretty nasty as well. Let's take those two. Oh yeah. That is really... Holy cow. It's like a pair of skis. Or a ski. Look at that.
Oh, that is really good. I can take that one.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to take this one over.
Okay. And we'll start with these two. Between these two and some of the shorter ones, we should be just about enough. We'll see. The windows actually take up quite a bit of space. Let's just lay them right here. Perfect, yep. Then I'll just grab as we need.
Do you want this moved? 'Cause that's what you want.
Yeah, that is an odd shape. That can go,
On the
yeah,
pile?
yep, please. 10 1/16. Wonder how that one will fit on that one. What's next?
7.
Yeah, see if that one will fit, and I'll cut this 7. Sometimes when there's a knot like this, it creates a little hump, and I can feel that. So I'm going to turn this over. A little short, that's okay.
6 and 15/16.
Okay. You still need a 10 and a 16th?
Yes.
Because that one is a little shy.
This is a little shy.
Okay. $13 and 9/16. All right, let's square this up. Okay, that'll work. 5 and 15.
Yep.
14 and 7. Okay.
4.
Thank you. 14 and 7. If I had any more than this, I would set up a stop or something, but I don't. Someday if I'm bored, I'll set up a stop and just cut a bunch of them at 14 and 7. But there's just not a tremendous amount right here, so I'm just gonna measure every one. Not the end of the world. Here's our center line. This is exactly 4 feet from the bottom where we need to be. So this 4-foot line right there, I kept that line pretty precise because of that sheathing. Here's our red line. With this blocking, it doesn't really matter if we're off a little bit. Doesn't matter at all. This is a tight fit. Good. Okay. It's a little shy, but I think it'll be just fine. Yeah, he's too... Let's fatten him up. We'll
Okay.
get a fatter one for that.
Okay.
That feels better. Even though these two have the same space between them, in theory, on the bottom anyway, check this one out. See, this one doesn't, well, it barely fits, but it's too loose. This one doesn't fit. So that tells me that this board is bowed this way. Put the tight one in first, and then that'll push it over and make the other one tighter. This one in. Yeah, that's a little tighter. That's good. Okay, we have some of that blocking up on the walls. So that's a good thing. Speaking of walls, let's mark those studs. And in order to do that, I'm gonna make a little template for, oh, 1 stud and 2 studs. I know we have plenty that are 3 and 4, hopefully not much more than that. But I think with a template, it'll just be a little more accurate, a little more easy to spray paint it. So let's do that. So is this absolutely necessary? Well, certainly not making a template. Even marking the studs isn't absolutely necessary, but I'm sure that it'll save me time later. One stud, 2 studs. Now I'm just going to cut those out and we'll have our template. One down. Two down. Okay, I'm just going to use construction paint, marking paint for this. I think it'll be just fine. Let's do our singles first. Just like that. And some of these might be self-evident, but why not just do it? Look at that. Let's move this out of the way. Good morning. We are back in the smoke today. Yes, it is smoky all around us. So, smoke update, fire update. We are in the middle of the smoke. If you look at a smoke map, we're about the last one left in this part of the country. But yeah, we're just unfortunately surrounded by not even fires necessarily. A lot of these have been reduced and contained, but still a lot of smoke. So I have good news and bad news. The good news is we went to the orthopedic surgeon yesterday and he took a look at the leg and said everything looks great. So that is a good thing. I am healing nicely. And the bad news is my lovely wife is leaving today. So before she leaves, we're going to take care of some frequently asked questions. And I think Karen's going to be the one asking most of them. She has them on her phone. I know a couple of these questions pertain to the house itself and what we're doing right now. So let's take care of those questions first. And then after that, then we're going to walk around the ranch. Well, maybe drive around. We'll see. But we're going to go to a couple different spots around Red Moose Ranch and ask the rest of the questions. So let's just jump right into it.
This is from Corbin Musso,
Corbin Musso.
88.
Corbin, I think you've been around the channel like since the beginning.
And he has.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
And if I remember correctly, I think you started watching this around the time your daughter was born. Well, I hope she's doing great.
Okay, are you going to encapsulate the crawl space?
Are we going to encapsulate the crawl space? The short answer is no. Why? Well, it's kind of a long story. We wanted to at first. I wanted to insulate the walls of the crawl space and kind of use the ground for natural heat, natural cooling, that sort of a thing. But when I went to the county to talk to them about that, they said because we are in a high radon area, if we wanted to do that sort of a thing, we would have to pour concrete on the entire crawl space floor, and we would have to put ventilation tubing and etc. under that concrete. And that would have been extremely costly, probably twice as much as this foundation costs. So we're not going to encapsulate the entire crawl space, at least not airtight. So I think we have another question or two related to the crawl space.
I thought you said you were going to lay down plastic and gravel before putting up the floor joists.
Yes, plastic and gravel in the crawl space. Do you know who asked that question?
I do.
Well, actually, there's been a couple people ask similar questions.
Yeah, this one was user TN8SZ6 LK5Z.
Did you get that? Okay, crawl space. Yes, we are going to have a vapor barrier. I think it's, what is it, 6 mil? 6 mil plastic
yep.
That has to go down over the ground. And the reason it's not there yet, I know it would have been a lot easier to spread that before I put the floor joist down, but there's just so much to do down there. Especially there was a lot to do down there. It would have been totally ruined by now if I would have put that plastic down. We are not going to put gravel under there. In my mind, if you put gravel underneath that plastic, it might get dented and dimpled and eventually have holes in it. And I'm certainly not going to put pea gravel or round gravel under there, because then everything's going to be mushy and it won't compact. So the plastic in the crawl space will probably be one of the last things we do, even after we put in floor insulation, I believe. But good question.
Scobro 1963.
Scobro 1963. I'm guessing that was the year you were born?
This is hard to say. No sealer on that bottom plate.
No sealer on the bottom plate. I think what this person is referring to, when I put this plate down on the subfloor, why I didn't seal underneath there. Well, I don't think I have to. I do plan on sealing the entire outside from the concrete up the wall. There's a couple of different ways you can do that with a liquid flash, and there's also a tape that you can buy that will totally seal up all of these edges down here, all, like I said, all the way from the concrete up to here, up to our sheathing. Once that's up, then I want to seal all that up. So if I do that, then sealing underneath that plate would be just unnecessary. Speaking of that sealer under the plate, I had several people ask me why I didn't tape the edge of this. Well, I might yet. I think the reason I didn't is because I'm not sure how quickly it was going to take me to set these walls into position. Once the walls are up, I just don't think it's necessary. I think the rain's going to wash right off of it or right down it, and it'll dry off pretty quickly because it's a dry climate, as you know, and things dry just like that. If I have any of this space open by the time we hit winter, and I think this is going to overwinter, then I definitely will tape those edges up if there are any left by the time winter gets here.
The next question is from Tom Missington. Sorry, Tom, if I didn't pronounce your last name correctly. I believe that's your last name. 8330. Have you looked into wall jacks?
Wall jacks. Yes, I've looked into them. As far as pricing them, I haven't purchased any yet. I may have to. I'm not opposed to that. I'm not doing what I do because it's fun, primarily for cost savings, I guess. But yeah, that's one thing I am looking into. May end up renting or buying them. That's a good idea. And for anyone who doesn't know what a wall jack is, it's basically a device kind of like the old-fashioned tire jacks. And you hook a 2x4 on it. You hook this under the wall and you lift it up that 2x4, and then that straightens up the wall and lifts it into place.
Kevin Tulak.
Kevin Tulak.
9987. wants to know if we are going to be plumbing in or a wildfire protection system.
That's a great question. Not in the house. I would like to outside the house someday. I have hopeful plans of a designated solar-powered pump someday for that purpose. And this person talked about maybe putting something up here, gravity fed. That is a fantastic idea. If I can get it up there, gravity fed, and get it buried, that's what we have to do, because it gets cold here, like below zero, several degrees below zero. So we can't have anything just sitting around year round above the ground. But yeah, I would love to have that dedicated pump and emergency sprinkler system. The way it is right now, we have to have, according to insurance, at least 100 feet of manicured ground or no grass at all. So that's why we have everything cut to the ground all the way around this house. So not in the house, but hopefully someday outside of the house. And yeah, ideally, if we could get something that would sit on top of the house, or maybe even portable that we can move around in the springtime, mount it on top of the house, and the rest of the year take it off. I don't know, but I'm open to suggestions.
Thomas Gomez, 6755.
Thomas Gomez.
Nail count.
Nail count. Good question. I think I used about 1,500 nails in the floor, and I think I've used about 1,000 nails so far in framing. Those are just really rough numbers. When we're all said and done, I'll hopefully have a closer count. I haven't looked recently, but I think that's about where we are.
Okay, Jeff DeLuca, 1153.
Jeff DeLuca.
Would like to know, are your boots as comfy as they look? And also, what are they?
Are my boots as comfy as they look? Okay, assuming these were the boots you were talking about, these are Carhartts. And I've wore a lot of Carhartt gear over the years. So I was a little bit suspect when I saw their boot. But I tell you, I am happy with it. I am very impressed with it. Very comfortable. I forget they're on. So yeah, I would recommend these. They're not sponsoring me, but I would recommend these any day. Maybe if I have time, I'll put a link in my video description. That way you can buy a pair if you're interested. Okay, we have a few more frequently asked questions from over the years. So let's just go meander about the ranch, give you something else to look at, and we'll ask some more questions. Okay, we are on the road to the Ridge Cabin, which is right up there.
Okay, so a lot of people have asked over the course of your YouTube channel what your background is. Like, were you a teacher, or were you always been in construction, or what is your background?
Well, my background is mostly in construction and in real estate. I was never a teacher. I've had dozens of people tell me I'm a good teacher. That's totally by accident. When I was a kid, I didn't like teachers. I didn't like school. I didn't like learning. I didn't want to do anything when I was a kid. But I appreciate that compliment because I have a lot of respect for good teachers. My professional adult life, I would say half of it more than half of it, I've been doing construction in one way or another professionally. I have always been building something ever since I've been watching Norm Abram and the New Yankee Workshop. That was a long time ago. Right after college, I started watching him. I've had my own construction company. I've actually had a couple of different construction companies that I've owned, mostly as a one-person shop. But even when I was selling real estate professionally, I was also a contractor for a lot of that time. Most of my contracting happened in the Seattle area, on the coast in Washington. You guessed it, we're up at the Ridge Cabin. For those of you who might be just recently joining us, the Ridge Cabin is where this channel got its start. I was about halfway through building this when I started life on the Moose. So if you want a good laugh, just watch my old videos. I haven't had the courage to watch them yet, so I'm sure they're terrible. What's the next question, Karen?
Okay, so what made you want to build our house instead of having somebody else build it?
Oh, gosh. Money, probably number one. If I'd have to hire all of this done, I don't know how much more it would cost. I had someone comment that they guessed I'm probably saving $80,000 over this build by doing it myself. I hope it's at least that much, but that's part of it, is the money and the money savings from building it myself or ourself. And the other reason is because I enjoy building. Had people ask me what spawned my joy for building. Well, I've always worked with my hands. I've always been good with that sort of a thing. And the first thing I really did was refinish furniture. I'd go to antique shops and buy an old piece of furniture and I'd refinish it or repurpose it, make it look good, that sort of a thing. But yeah, I get a lot of joy in building myself and working with my hands, and call it pride, call it whatever you want, but that's another reason why I want to build this house. Okay, I'm going to sit here with my leg up while Karen asks the next question.
Okay, the next question is, do you plan on subbing out parts of the build, and if so, which parts?
Yes, I do plan on subbing out parts of this. Plumbing, probably number one. The rough-in plumbing, I'm not a big fan of. I would have to learn how to do that, and that learning curve is probably too long, longer than I would like. Maybe some of the insulation I'll sub out. I'm not a big fan of putting in insulation in the crawl space, so we'll see what happens there. HVAC, that's another thing that I'll be subbing out.
What's been your favorite part of the build so far?
My favorite part of the build so far? Probably what I'm doing right now. I'm enjoying this framing process because you see your reward very quickly. It doesn't take long to build a wall and stand it up, and it's like, that's progress.
How long do you think it's going to take to finish the house? And that doesn't include the decks or the patios or anything like that.
How long is it going to take to finish this house? That is a good question. It depends on how often I do stupid things like that. When we first started this, we were hoping to be in the house by the end of 2027. That might be wishful thinking at this point. The only thing I can say is hopefully by the spring of 2028. Hopefully you'll still be with me, so don't go anywhere for a couple of years, please. All right, our next stop is the bunkhouse. The bunkhouse was the second building I built on this property. That was pre-COVID, a long time ago. It was spared in a fire we had here, a wildfire. Luckily, the window's in the right direction. But outside of the main cabin that I stay in while I'm here, this was the next building I built. And I don't have this build on video, but just an FYI, wood that you see here is actually 3x6 cedar, part of a cedar kit home that they used to sell in the 60s. That is solid wood inside and out. That's the same board you're looking at. And then I cut out for the big windows, and I took those sections of wall and built my deck with it. Check it out. So the only thing I have on video regarding this building is when I replace the windows. Okay, the next question we have
is Liz NYP 6209 or 6209.
Liz. Thanks for the question, Liz.
Yep, absolutely. She's wondering if our engineer / architect watches your videos to see how the building is progressing.
Gosh, I hope not. I'm kidding. I feel like I've been hard on my engineer. I make snarky comments now and then, but I like my engineer, to be honest with you. I don't know if he watches. I hope he does. Architect, we did our own architecting. I don't know if that's a word. But we kind of wish we would have talked to an architect before we talked to the engineer.
It cost us more money. We made some changes that I should have told Patrick about before we had a final stamp on those prints.
Meaning she changed her mind.
I did. On the blueprints. That ended up, that was kind of costly.
Yeah, so we did make a change or two that might not have had to if we'd have talked to an architect first, but it is what it is. So the short answer is I don't know for sure if my engineer, I know he has checked it out. I don't know how much he watches, to be honest with you. I hope so, because he's a smart guy, and I appreciate his take on this because he uses a conservative approach. That's what I make fun of once in a while. It's like, oh, is this tie down? Is this hold down really necessary? But hey, I'd rather overbuild any day. So
absolutely.
I hope you're watching.
Okay. So the next question is, do you plan on making our cabinets and doors?
Oh boy, I'd like to. Plan is a touchy word. I
Do you want to?
Yes,
So
I
there's a
want to.
difference.
I want to. Plan is a weird word in this whole situation, and I'd never recommend anyone build a house without a plan. The word plan is very fluid in our case. It depends on a lot of things. It depends on timing. It depends on the materials I have at the time. It depends on how many people watch my videos, because quite honestly, this is my living right now. So it's up in the air. I'd like to. We'll see what happens. Okay, we are almost to the bench. I've been up here maybe once or twice on video. That's about it. As you can see, this is pretty high above the homestead here. The bench itself is right there.
So back in 2014 for our 10-year wedding anniversary, Patrick surprised me with a bench. And then it was the following year that we had the wildfire, and unfortunately that bench got destroyed in that wildfire. And then I think it was a year or two after that that you built this one.
Yeah. And this one is made out of trees that were burned in the wildfire. In fact, I think was this made out of the same log as the entryway?
Yes, it was.
Part of that same tree that burned, part of it went to the entryway, part of it went to this bench.
All right, so Joanne from South Alabama.
Joanne.
Hi, Joanne.
Hi, Joanne.
She said that she thought that you said that you were going to be doing 2 videos a week. Are you?
I don't know. Thanks, Joanne. I appreciate the question, and thank you for calling me out on that. Yeah, I was rolling around the idea of having maybe a couple videos a week. If I can get ahead, if I can do a whole video in a day or two, then I'm happy to get more than 1 video out a week. I was thinking about a Tuesday. Because of this little prize right here, I don't think I'm gonna have that opportunity in the next couple of weeks. But by the time this gets rolling again, I really do hope so. For now, we're just gonna have to play it by ear and just lower your expectations of me.
I apologize because I do not know who said this or asked this question. Did you drive yourself to the ER? To the ER, and how far away was it?
I did not drive myself to the ER. I planned on driving myself to the ER until I took my first step and realized I had cut into that leg muscle. That's when I realized I probably shouldn't do that. But I did call a neighbor who happens to be a retired nurse, so thankful for that. So she brought me to the ER, which is about a half an hour drive away from here. All right, I think we have one more question.
Where was I when I found out that Patrick got hurt? And how long did it take me to get here? So I guess that's my question to answer. And I found out about this when, let's see, that would have been on Monday night. We did a FaceTime, and Patrick had told me and then showed me what had happened. And that was probably, gosh, I don't know, 8 o'clock at night or so. And then he was pretty insistent. I said, I'm getting over there. I'm coming over there as soon as I can. And so I called him in the morning because I wanted to check to see how he was doing. I got over here as fast as I could. So I got over here on Tuesday night. It is a 5.5 to 6 hour drive with no traffic. And I'm so glad that I came, obviously.
Me too.
I wanted to be here for him and help him as much as I can.
Yeah, the very first night it happened, I think I was still under the influence of the numbing agent.
Yes.
So my pain wasn't that bad the first night. But by the next morning, I was all for Karen coming over. So I appreciate that.
Oh, well, and I appreciate you letting me come over and help you because he's very stubborn.
She meant to say I'm very nice and kind.
He is very nice and kind, but he's very stubborn.
Well, that concludes our FAQ Ranch tour. And that concludes this video. Thank you again for all of your kind words, your prayers, your well wishes, your words of encouragement. It means a lot.
It means a lot to me. It means so much that Patrick has such wonderful people that watch his channel and care about him. It really does. So thank you for that from the bottom of our heart. We really appreciate it.
She's going to make me cry now.
Sorry.
So hopefully I'll see your smiling faces next week. Unfortunately, you won't see Karen's because she's heading back to the coast in about 15 minutes. So I'll see you, you'll see me next week, and I'll be on the mend even more, and I'm going to get some more work done one way or another. So thanks again for watching Life in the Moose. Thanks, Karen, for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you.